right, everybody. Hopefully you can hear us fine because we are here for episode 115 of Play PSVR 2, the podcast, the greatest podcast known to Hong Kong, Malaysia, Finland. Suddenly, Italy is apparently getting up in here. Belgium's getting up in here too, Adam. Adam, which country do you want to be the biggest podcast in?
Dude, I'm going for. That's a tough one. I think I want to go Peru. I don't know why.
Peru. I guess I need to try to run the statistics and see how we're doing in Peru. I would love to be a big podcast.
I don't
in
even
Peru.
know if they have technology in Peru. So I think that's why. It would be very impressive if people who don't have electronics somehow still listen to us. It means we're on CDs. We're coming to you live. We're gonna be on cassettes.
Listen, if you're a listener and your family lives in Peru, and for some reason, like Adam's thinking, Peru just has zero technology or internet, and you want them to listen to Play PSVR 2 the podcast, let us know. I'll send you a CD, a handful of episodes, and if they like it, send me a letter back. I'll send them more CDs back. But Adam, we got to get the show on the road because we got stuff we got to talk about, and I'm afraid about talking about other countries because you might say something off-putting. So let's get this out of the way. What is your gamer juice tonight, man? Something green and gross is what it looks like.
Pennywort drink. Do you know what pennywort is?
Pennywort?
Yes.
It sounds like something you put like on your foot. Is it like St. John's wort?
Oh, Alex, I'm not drinking this.
Number one rule of gamer juice is what, Adam?
Dude, no, sniff this. I know you can't sniff this. Holy crap. It smells like fish, weeds, and grass. What is the ramification if I don't drink it? Oh,
two barf beans right out of the gate. Two barf beans.
Oh no. And then the only thing I have to drink to help the barf is this.
You thought you were so funny going to Jungle Gyms to get these nasty drinks, and guess what? Jungle Gyms has come around to
Alex,
bite you.
This is the worst one yet. Like Is
it worse? Is it worse than two barf beans? Adam, this is not making good radio.
It might be. Alex, this is horrible. Could they be
Here we go. I'm going to eat.
It's just.
This is going to sweeten the pot. Adam, I'm going to eat a barf bean if you chug that right now.
Oh, my gosh. No, I think that's unfair. I'm not going to do that because I want to chug it to get it over with. So that's helping me. I feel like that's unfair.
That's the point. I'm motivating you to get it over with, but you have to chug that nasty drink.
You talk about yours while I think about it.
My favorite juice is Slate, French vanilla, ultra filtered milk, lactose free. This isn't even, I thought this was caffeinated. I thought this was like a coffee. It's just a can of milk. Oh, no. This isn't, it's just milk. Okay. Well, it's just milk. I thought this was going to be like a latte or something. Yep. Yeah.
This is milk.
It's just milk. I got another one here. San Pellegrino Essenza, blood orange and black raspberry. I'll be honest, it sounds like it tastes good. It tastes like garbage, man. I couldn't finish it last time, but I need something to offset the milk. How are you feeling, Adam? Are you going to be drinking that drink, or are you going to be...
No, I'm doing the beans. I can't do it. This is the worst thing I've ever drank in my life, Alex. There's one thing, like, I've had some bad drinks and it's like, oh, it's too chemically or it's meant to taste bad. Like the Thanksgiving dinner drink was like bad and I chugged it to get it over with, but it wasn't offensive. This is offensive. In your face, that milk must not be. It was. Dude, we picked two duds tonight, man.
I thought this was like a latte. This is... The expiration date was April 2023, but it didn't say when in April 2023. So it could have been like April 1st, 2023. It's been sitting in the back of my fridge for a long time. I had no time to go look for a gamer juice today.
Oh my, you're going to get sick. Oh my. Dude, I'm eating two barfs. You're going to actually barf? I'm doing right here 2 barfs. I can't do. I know this is absurd. I can't imagine me ever doing this. You're going to eat barf too, because if not, you're really going to barf. What is it? Guys, we did not plan this at all. I promise you.
We don't plan anything. Oh.
No, we don't plan any. I promise you, this is impromptu. Here's one, Alex.
Yeah. Like the one at a time.
That one I knew immediately.
Yeah, baby.
That one I know.
Eat that barf. Eat that barf.
I have nothing to drink. I have nothing.
You have nothing to drink, and you have to double dip, because if you don't, you got to drink that drink.
How many times do I have to chew it?
10 times.
Not doing 10.
I almost think I'd rather have 2 barf beans in this. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Here's the second one.
This is on record the worst intro we've ever done for the podcast.
Really. Peach. Wait. Peach. Yes. Peach.
What a turn of events it would have been.
Well, speaking of turn of events, last episode, for some reason, we were lauded. People liked the last episode. This episode, we're going to get crushed. They're going to say this is the worst episode you've ever made. Last week was the best episode we ever made. Chaos. Amazing episode. Best one yet. Well done, guys. Thomas Telfer. I love these guys. Funny and goofy. Cooked to perfection. Keep up the good work. Delfo. He's an Italian living in Belgium. He's going to help us take over Belgium and Italy. Monty Montana. Wow, he's the biggest I've ever seen. Oh, that was my personal email. Sorry, that wasn't about the episode. Anyhow, keep those compliments coming, because here's the thing: a roast box might be on the horizon. I think I broke Alex.
Monty Montana.
Monty Montana. Say nice things so that you can prepare us for the horrible things you have to tell us to get the roast box.
I just love that in Adam's imaginary world where somebody is sending him emails complimenting him on his size. The only person who could be emailing him to compliment him on his size is somebody named Monty Montana.
What? I just made that up. Is there a joke? I don't understand.
We won't dwell on it.
Okay. I guess in the break, because I don't understand what the
it's just illuminating is what it is.
I don't understand why. Okay, more on a serious note. Again, I feel sorry for the games, the products we review, because when they listen to what we have for feedback, they have to listen to that intro. I promise you, Hans VR. I promise you, Polyarch. Normally we're a bit more buttoned up, but tonight we're loose. Anyhow, I want to talk about the Hans VR, because if you watch YouTube, if you've seen any of our content, I wear glasses all the time. I'm blind as a bat. I do wear contacts, but after a while, they're not comfortable. They dry my eyes out. I hate them. So with PSVR, I undoubtedly had scratches on the PSVR lens because I wear glasses. You know, you're playing Beat Saber, you're playing Sea Smash, you're playing Super Hot, all these games where you're really moving and just inevitably taking the headset on and off and moving and playing so much, you're going to scratch the lens. Right now, I was like, boom, PlayStation VR 2 early in the life cycle. We're going to be using this headset for years, right? So you need to take care of it. Part of that obviously is the lens. So I like the idea of having kind of a protective lens on the PSVR 2 lens, but then not having to even use glasses. I've never experienced that. Alex, I will admit, first, I'll discuss Hans VR is very easy. Go to their website, you put in your prescription. Right now, only $50 for PSVR 2 lenses. I was astounded. That is a freaking fantastic price. I thought it would be way more expensive. You think about a gun stock for PSVR 2, where you're going to use that for a handful of games, right? That's $85 to $100. This you will use every time you play with your PSVR 2, and it's only $50. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, like a really good investment. But Alex, I don't know if you realize the treasure trove that you've been sitting on and not needing glasses. Like, it's so, just put the headset on. I don't gotta mess with glasses. It's easier to get the sweet spot. It's more comfortable because now I have a wider, range of motion for the headset on my physical head, because I don't have to worry about scratching my glasses against the lens, or is it comfortable or too much pressure on my glasses, all that crap. It's so delightful. just to put the headset on and roll. Like it really is neat. The lenses are pretty, they're very, you could feel their quality. I dropped one because I'm a freaking klutz. No problem. No scratch. They give you a microfiber cloth. They give you this. I have a YouTube video and I covered this in a bit more detail, but I wanted to mention on the podcast. They give you a cute little box so you can carry them around. They're super easy to pop on and off. So when I had friends over and they tried VR, I just popped them off. Literally takes at most on and off 30 seconds at most. Super easy. So that's not a worry. Alex, I gotta say, this is a worthy investment. If you are a glasses wearer, watch the full review I have on YouTube. I show you how to put them in and out and how quick it is. And I know you don't have to worry about it, Alex, but I'm pretty happy. So I am now no glasses club.
I'm really glad these exist, right? Because there's like, it almost seems like more people wear glasses than don't. I am supremely lucky to not have to wear glasses and have to worry about this. You're right. I can just throw it on and go. It does bring up some interesting things though. Like you mentioned that it's not only like you're not going to scratch your lenses now because you don't have to wear glasses to play the PSVR. I'm thinking like, could I get a blank prescription version of this and just leave those in all the time? That way, any kind of abrasion that might hit the screen is happening to these external lenses rather than like a protector, just as a protector, no prescription, just a piece of glass I could put there to, guard and, provide clarity, but guard in case anything happens. That way I can take them off and put new ones in. I'm just thinking like if I scratched my PSVR 2 lenses right now, I'm screwed, right? Like,
yeah,
unless I send it off to Sony, it's probably going to be a really expensive, like $200. If I pay $50 now, got blank prescription lenses. If I scratch them, bam, just $50 more and I can get new ones. Maybe they're even cheaper if they don't have to be prescription, right?
That I don't know, but there's no reason you couldn't, right? When I put in my prescription, just say 0, and then it's just going to be a blank lens. Yeah, I don't know why that wouldn't work. I don't know if they're going to be cheaper or not. They still got to manufacture them and stuff, but maybe contact them, give it a shot. I like that aspect. I never thought of it that way because obviously I have glasses, but even with the prescription in, like I lose no clarity whatsoever. So that's really good. I don't know if it's blank, if it's just a lens, if that would mess with the sweet spot or the clarity at all. Because it is two. Now you're looking through 2 lenses, not just one. But so am I, and it's fine. So I don't know, but yeah, I'm really glad I have them. Changed the way I play VR. I've used them for 2 weeks. I'm playing Sea Smash every day, at least once. High score, 150,000, baby. Come at me. I haven't seen a single score higher. No one can touch me. Now that they fixed multiplayer, every time I go in there, I don't lose. I'm trying to contact the developers. I'm like, Sega, come at me. Try to beat me. They won't respond. They're scared, as they should be. Hans VR, everybody. Check them out. I'll put the description or their link in the description. And then again, I have that full review on the YouTubes, and we'll have it on playpsvr.com as well. Alex, the next big item here. We're both excited. Walkabout Mini Golf, May 11th. You've already pre-ordered it, correct?
I'm pretty sure, or I think I can't pre-order it yet. I think I have to wish list it. But yeah, I would have pre-ordered it if it was available. Yeah, I'm excited about this game just because I've heard nothing but amazing praise for it. And it's just 2 things, right? Like it's a game that I'm interested in that I really like to play. I know people enjoy it. It might be another system seller for PSVR 2, right? Something they can grab and be like, I'm so glad I can play this now. Granted, PC Quest people, they've already done it. They've been there, done that. Who cares? I don't care about that. I care about playing it on my PSVR 2. The other thing is that it's just so nice to have like a release date to look forward to. Like if I feel like we fall into these ruts where we don't know when the next big game is coming out, right? Like once we get past May 11th, we're not going to know when the next game to look forward to is being released, which is kind of a bad place to be in. I mean, again, we have so many games to play. We're not really like dying for what are we doing? But it is nice to have like a game in the near distance or even a little bit far off distance of like, I can't wait for that to come out. I know that is coming out. So having a release date is great because it gives you something to look forward to, hopefully between now and May. I think it's actually May 12th, May 11th, May 12th, something like that. hopefully between now and then we get, more release dates for some of these other games that are coming out, like Behemoth, and Project
Firewall,
Wingman,
right? Or do we have?
Firewall. Yeah, like we don't have release dates for those, but it's just nice to have a game to look forward to, and cover and play. So it sucks that we are just so happy with just one game being announced for the release date in the near future.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you get when you go with VR. Like, not only are we siloed into the PlayStation group, we're further siloed into the PlayStation VR group. But at least one game to look forward to, I can be happy. Yeah.
That I'm telling you, that barf. Oof. I burped and I got pennywort and barf. It was nasty. The thing is, so May 11th is a Thursday, which is, again, I always feel like an odd day for game releases, but I feel like it's got to be a day one by. Unlike you, Alex, I'm going to be honest. I have been underwhelmed with the launch of PSVR 2. Some of the games are really cool, are amazing, but a lot of them, as I mentioned, they're just not fun. Like, I need something to wow people, and I want to be wowed. There's no To the Top, there's no Beat Saber, there's no Super Hot, we're missing those games. There's no horror games. Switchback, I mean, I know Resident Evil, other than Resident Evil, Switchback was garbage. There's like, where are the games, man? It's all these PSVR ports, which again are fine, but none of the ones I really want. No Astrobot. So I'm looking forward to this because this seems, from what everyone's saying, a game that is straight up fun, that people will come over. And I'm like, you know what? Let's battle it out. Let's both play golf. And it's going to be a blast. You and I on the Golden Stream will be able to golf. It's going to be a ton of fun. I mean, it could be a game changer. I'm really looking forward to this. And I think, I don't know, I'm mind blown that everyone loves mini golf this much, but I'm all for it. Also, Afterlife VR, April 19th, coming up very soon. That is a horror game that's coming out this week as of this podcast. Looking forward to trying it because, again, I'm missing some horror in my life, and that's the way to do it. The trailer looked a bit, kind of, I don't know, tropish for horror, like nothing that special, but you never know.
A young girl with telepathic powers and long dark hair wearing a white nightgown. Like, I can name maybe 7 movies off the top of my head with that in it. 7 movies and games with that in it. I mean, sure, it might be scary. I'm looking forward to see what this has. Sometimes even if you know what it is, it's scary. But Adam, I want to dial it back. I feel like I got to defend PSVR 2's launch lineup. You come out here talking about the games just aren't fun, don't have anything to wow. You say we don't have Beat Saber, yet you refuse to try Synth Riders, which everybody says is great. You say, we don't have Beat Saber, you refuse to try Pistol Whip, which everybody says is like one of the go-to games for PSVR. You want a game that's just simple, put on, fun to play. You won't try Zombieland, Headshot Revenge, or whatever it's called.
It's not that I won't. I just haven't purchased them yet. I'm not going to buy all these games full price. Start putting out the sales.
You're so cheap. The only games Adam plays are the ones he gets for free.
No, that is not true. That is a bold-faced lie. I paid for Resident Evil 8. I paid for Gran Turismo 7. I paid for Puzzling Places. I paid for...
Do you know what the theme is here? Is when you buy a game that's good and you play it, you like it.
No, that's not true. Not always. Because I know what I like. And none of those games I like, so I'm not going to buy them.
No. You didn't. These games are games that you bought based off high recommendations. And then you play them and, oh, lo and behold, it's a good game. Yeah, because everybody says it was a good game and you paid money and bought it and you liked the game. Everybody says Pistol Whip is good, but you just won't buy it for whatever reason. But it's a game like Beat Saber that's going to wow
I bought After the Fall, and we played a few times. And again, it's funny because I'm with people, but was it worth my $30? I'm going to be honest. No, it wasn't.
Well, you should try playing it without turning on the manual reload and then not knowing how to do manual reload.
No, that made it more fun. It was challenging, then it was hilarious watching you just get rocked because I couldn't help you.
Also, you shouldn't have me as the host where I up the challenge because I feel like it was too easy for me. And then it's not too easy for me and we just keep dying.
We need to put that on our game list, actually. We
haven't reviewed it. I haven't played enough to consider a full
Oh
review of
my
it.
gosh, you freaking butthole. Okay, so that I still feel how I feel, and I'm not upset about it. I feel like a lot of people would side, maybe not as strongly on my side, but they would still lean toward my side. How do they not give us an Astrobot? Like, I still can't, I'm in disbelief.
I think Sony must just have bigger plans in terms of like the holiday season or something
Freaking
like
Final
that.
Fantasy. That's their big effing, that's their whole grand plan here. Freaking Final Fantasy 16. That's not an exclusive, is it?
It's like a timed exclusive, I think. Like
Oh,
for the
so
first
that's why it
year.
was the
Yeah.
entire state of play. Okay.
Yeah. That's I mean that's typical what they do with these kind of games. No Man's Sky you won't even touch. You own it. Why haven't you tried that again?
I don't hear good things.
Yeah, it's better now, apparently. You wouldn't know if it was better or worse
You
at
want to
all.
know why I'm not playing? Because I am playing Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners. People, and
Finally.
what's a game I purchased? I bought that.
Oh no, you paid $10 for it. You got it free off PlayStation Plus.
I paid
You
$10.
paid $10 for the free upgrade. It's not the same, Adam. It's not.
Yeah,
the
it's
same.
exactly the same. I paid $10. I hate you.
Tell me about
Okay.
Walking Dead Saints and Sinners.
Okay, so the first thing I have to say, everyone was really hyped. They like this game. I could see why. It's really cool. I love some of the game mechanics. The fact, like when you stab people, that it's the range of motion and how hard and that range and how actually hard you shove the knife in their skull determines how deep it goes. That's next level. That's freaking cool. I'll give them credit. The guns, probably for PSVR, was really neat. I don't know what it was like in PSVR because I've only played it in the second version. But again, they have that manual reload thing that's realistic to a gun. That's obviously a theme for all gun games at this point. But that works well. It's cool. No issues there. There's a lot of it's pretty immersive, like with those things between like the flashlight and you having to shake it, zombies grabbing you, and you have to like move and shake the zombies off. They do a very good job at thinking and being creative on ways to immerse you in the gameplay that not many do. I would argue in definitely some aspects, they're more immersive in that aspect than Resident Evil is. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
why didn't Resident Evil have that action of when you stab someone, how hard or the range of motion determines how much damage is dealt and things? That's really neat. They have a lot of things like that that Capcom can learn from, that a lot of the persistence could learn from. A lot of these other big hitters we have for PSVR should learn from them. So good job on that. I love the atmosphere. New Orleans, kind of creepy. It's dark, it's serene. Everything is just like destroyed. It reminds me of The Last of Us in VR, like atmosphere wise. Love it. That's really cool. The only thing, there are a couple things that I'm not going to say ruin the experience. That's not by any means, but prevent me from loving the game. Three things. The first, it's like the whole atmosphere, the environment looks pretty good, pretty realistic, but then the people look like cartoons. They look like Fortnite characters. And I know like Resident Evil's characters don't look perfect, but you can like convince yourself I'm in there. But I can't do that with Walking Dead. Like there's Fortnite characters. Like why? I don't like that.
I think it's because of Walking Dead's a comic book originally, and so it's kind of bringing over that comic book
Oh,
aesthetic. I mean, yeah, it's big for a TV show, but it was a comic book originally. It brings that over. I also think it does stuff like it makes the facial expressions kind of pop a bit more. When you have that robotic humanoid type face, it might look photorealistic. The facial expressions aren't really expressive, but part of this game, right, is like trying to determine if somebody's like going to shoot you or if somebody's going to help you and figure out what they're thinking about you in the moment. And the more cartoonish style makes them a bit more emotive, I think.
yeah, I can see that. I still don't like it, but okay. There at least
I understand that. Yeah, it doesn't feel real when you see a
Yeah.
cartoon in front of you, but I can appreciate why they did it.
Yeah. Then a couple of things that I find really annoying with the gameplay is the first thing, I'm on the 4th level, right? So you go to your shack and then you're assigned a task and you have to go to different parts of New Orleans and explore. So I'm not that far into the game. I'm an hour and a half in already. I got one of the main tasks done, but then I had to progress in the level. I used all my bullets on both guns. I used all my shivs, and I looked everywhere, all through the house, all outside. I can't find any more weapons. I kill people who had guns, and their guns now magically either break, and so it's just junk, or it may be the gun, but it doesn't have any ammunition in it, so it's useless. Or like, why is it so hard to freaking find a knife? Like, it's worse than Resident Evil in that regard. I never had that much trouble in Resident Evil, and I know you can start to create things, make your own ammo, make more shivs. I'm starting to do that, but I'm having to go to previous levels, collect a bunch of junk just to go back to create ammo because they won't. I am scouring everywhere and there's just no ammo. Why do that? I am on regular game mode, so I'm not in story mode, but that makes me annoyed. That doesn't help me make and enjoy the game. And before you answer, one last thing that I freaking hate, which is stupid. I guess I understand why they do it. So when you run, you use stamina. Have no problem. That's every game known to man. But you have your max stamina bar, and when you run, that max stamina bar gets smaller. That's what they call it, max stamina. So now even when I rest up, I don't have that much stamina anymore. And what's stupid is when I go to sleep, that bar doesn't max out. I have to eat stuff to raise my max stamina, but then that takes away my max health. It's freaking ridiculous. Why?
I think it takes away your max health if you're eating like bad food.
Everything I found takes away max health. Every single thing.
You gotta like cook it or something, I think.
Why?
Are you just eating dog food?
No, I've eaten pinto beans. I've eaten energy bars. I've eaten sardines. I've eaten ramen. Things that like should be fine. Everything takes away max health. I understand maybe they wanted to spice up some aspects of the gameplay, and they did, but it's just annoying. And the thing I hate about the max stamina is that you walk around a lot, right? But I'm not going to run because it uses that max stamina. So I have to walk everywhere. And you walk so freaking slowly. It's horrible. It almost ruins it for me. Today, I put it down because I'm not doing this. It's a waste of time. Now, maybe I'm not far enough to realize that, okay, maybe using your max stamina isn't that big of a deal. So I shouldn't be so conservative and like saving it. But right now, I don't know that. It's just unnecessary and it's annoying. I don't like it.
I feel like you're probably missing out on an element. I can't remember exactly what it was, but you should be able to get yourself topped off to full health and full stamina, like in between missions. So I imagine you're on mission 4 and you have like a quarter of the stamina that you could have because you don't know how to get it back. Or I guess a quarter of the health that you can have because you don't know how to get it back. Like every time you eat, I bet your health bar is down to half of what it was when you started, isn't it?
So I mean, if you ultimately what you have to do is use stamina, eat stuff, and then use bandages. What was it? You do something to get your max health back, but then you have to eat or you have to use bandages to get your current health back. I think, yeah, it just like, why? It is so stupid, Alex.
See, I thought it was clever. I like the idea of like, it becomes a resource you have to manage, right? As opposed to just stopping moving while your stamina recovers. This is now something else you have to manage, which is realistic, right? Like if I'm trying to survive in a city infested with zombies,
you wake up refreshed and you have full health and you have all.
Not if you haven't eaten anything.
Oh my, you're so. All I want to do is play Resident Evil.
So the other thing I think is can't find enough weapons. This isn't the kind of game you're supposed to just kill every enemy you see. The zombies will keep coming forever. So like this is their way of telling you, like, you just need to learn how to run past zombies you don't need to kill and be okay with that because they're never going to stop coming. And especially if that bell rings, you're going to get totally surrounded by them.
Yeah, and I'm going to run away from this game too. So congrats, good job, guys.
Like the only person in the world that can't enjoy it. It's incredible. It's because you bought it. No, it's because you didn't buy it. You should have bought it.
Did buy it.
You should have bought the whole thing, not just.
I may not buy Retribution if this is the freaking experience I'm gonna get.
Oh, big surprise! Adam's not gonna buy a game. Okay,
I'm not. Screw you, f you, Alex. The most popular games in the U.S. for the PSVR 2. These are the most downloaded. Now, this is also not including PSVR games that have been brought over.
It doesn't include upgrades. That's why we don't see like Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners Chapter 1 here and GT7, things like that. It
would be way down there, yeah. So Pavlov VR, I feel like that's number one. That shouldn't be a surprise, right?
It's impressive, though. It's impressive.
Why is it impressive?
There's not a big IP attached to it. There's no sequel we're bouncing off of. This is a game that's at the top of the list, sheerly from word of mouth. People are hearing Pavlov is so fun to play. That's why it's
the only gun game.
Yeah. I mean, not After the Fall, like there's a bunch of games. But anyways, I see what you're saying. But it's still just impressive that like people are buying the PlayStation VR 2 and then they're getting Pavlov. That's what this is representing, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Number 2 hurts my soul. Switchback VR.
I contributed to that. I think it's all people who were excited about Rush of Blood, got burned by the pre-order, and they're just kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, I mean, had you not bought it, I'm going to be honest, I would have bought it 100%. But I was like, oh, I'll let you see. And I almost didn't even do that. I was just going to buy it and be like, that's a horror game. I'm going to like it. Rush of Blood was clutch. But for some reason, the little man inside me was like, just wait till Alex sees how it is. Thank gosh I did. Thank gosh. Okay, Kayak VR Mirage, number 3. Which is pretty good for a game that's about kayaking. I feel like that's they should be proud of themselves, right?
Yeah, that's impressive too. I don't know why that's so high. I don't know why it's selling so hot, but it's doing a good job. Yeah.
Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution.
This is the best version of that game, and it's like highly touted, so that makes sense. I'm surprised it's not higher than Kayak.
Is it the same mechanics as Walking Dead?
Yeah, they're probably slightly modified and made better and stuff like that. But
if they don't have this stupid walking and stamina mechanic, I'll buy it. I'll buy it full price, baby.
I doubt that's been overhauled.
They can go F themselves. Star Wars, Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. I'm surprised. I don't know. I'm not Star Wars.
That's got a demo. You should play that demo and see how it is. I don't have time for it. You should try it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Demo. I mean, look what happened to Sea Smash. I was like, I'll try the demo and play it every day. Sea Smash demo would be number 1 on this list, baby. It's so good, dude. It's so effing good. Pistol Whip, which is interesting. Isn't this a PSVR upgrade? Why is it on here?
I think if you had the PSVR when you get a free upgrade, but this shows that new people are buying it. They're not getting the upgrade. They're just buying
that's actually even more impressive, honestly.
Yeah. That's made the list when knowing like half of the install base already owns it. Yeah.
Well, too bad they don't have a free demo. Otherwise, I would play it. See if I like it. And then
it was like $10 at one point. And you still wouldn't buy it. I don't.
Well, at that point, it was PSVR, and I was like, I don't want to play on that.
But we knew what was going to happen.
No, we did not. Horizon Call of the Mountain. I'm really surprised that's at number 7.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't. I don't know if the pack-in codes count or not. I bet a lot of people got it for the pack-in code.
Europe, it's number 9. So I mean, it's pretty low in the list. And you're right. I don't know if I would think they would count the pack-in code. Maybe not. Maybe they just simply looked at downloads and called.
Probably not. Yeah, because it would just be you're just inserting the code. You're redeeming a code. You're not buying the game.
Yeah. Number 8, we got Swordsman VR,
which is nice to see. Again, that had a free upgrade or a cheap upgrade, something like that. Number 9, surprising, Drums Rock.
Yeah. I mean, you played it, liked it. I did the demo. It was pretty good. I like the idea of that concept in VR. I'm surprised. Do you think people want to play guitar or drums more? Because, that air guitar game is also out, but it's not on the list. But Drums Rock is.
I think it makes it like air guitar sounds like really how is that going to work? Drums Rock, you're holding things in your hand like drumsticks already. It makes sense. I'm surprised like Drums Rock is getting a lot of love here. Like on Reddit, people are talking nonstop about Ragnarok. They both have demos. I'm probably going to play Ragnarok at some point too and see how that stacks up. We have 2 VR drumming games based on, heavy metal drumming. I'm glad that one of them is getting attention or one of them is getting success. Hopefully, the other one does too. They both seem like just fine and good games.
Yeah, I feel like there is room, I think, for a superior, like clearly superior, good band game.
Yeah.
And we don't have it. Literally, all you have to do is make Guitar Hero in VR, or maybe it's that Rock Band. Make Rock Band in VR, and that's what we should do, Alex. We would be, I don't know if we'd be millionaires. We would be thousandaires. We would
I don't.
definitely make thousands of dollars.
It costs us millions of dollars to make, but we'll definitely make a couple thousand out of it. Yeah.
That's exactly right, baby. That's why Namco works. Job Simulator is number 10. And again, I don't know why people are still buying this game.
So yeah, this is weird. This is what hurts. Is Job Simulator is a PSVR 1 game. There's a PSVR 2 version. Why isn't Cosmonious High the one that is getting the love here? You'd think Cosmonious High, the new one on PSVR 2, would be the one that people are going for. They like Job Simulator. They got the sequel.
It's got to be IP and that kind of reputation, right? It's got to be.
It's just always the most popular VR game for some reason, and I don't know why in PSVR 2 people are excited about it, but
I don't know either. Like I can't even. I have no idea. I don't know. But what I do know is we've run out of time for segment 1. Segment 2 is coming back. Alex is going to review Moss Book 1 for the PSVR 2. We've got big news on Firewall. And then we've got some additional news we want to share with you. Don't go away. We want you to stay. We'll catch you after the break.
Welcome back to segment 2 of Play PSVR 2, episode 116, where we are going to now review Moss Book 1 for the PSVR 2. If you've been listening... Okay,
before we even hop into that, I just was dumbfounded how bad my gamer juice was. So I got something else. It's Odyssey Sparkling Mushroom Elixir. It's Blackberry Lemon Twist, Lion's Mane Cordyceps, which I thought was interesting because in The Last of Us, cordyceps were the things that like went ham and took over people, right?
I mean, cordyceps is a type of fungus, yeah. So are you like, is it legitimately fungus? Like, look at the ingredients. Is there like a fungus in there, or is it just blackberry and high fructose corn syrup?
I mean, I don't know what. Will it just say fungus?
No, I mean, you just have an idea. Is anything in there that sounds kind of fungal in name? I Googled it between the meetings,
right here.
Adam.
Organic lion's mane mushroom extract. Organic cordyceps mushroom extract.
So it's an extract, but okay. All right, fine. It's not sounding more promising than pennywort or whatever it was.
It's gotta be, right? It has to be. This is blueberry. Wow, it's hard to open.
I was Googling pennywort. Apparently, it's just like a blanket term for plants that come out of Asia or something like that. It's just Adam's just
plants
drinking
that come out of Asian's butthole.
Adam's just drinking plants and funguses now and getting upset that the drinks don't taste like Marionberry.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. This tastes like a mint.
Like a mint. Okay, you can drink a mint.
But there's no mint in there.
Yeah, that's what a lion's mane tastes like.
Wow. It's not the greatest, but it's a million times better than what I had. Alex, I am ready to hear about Moss. You knew I was never high on Moss to begin with, so I'm intrigued on what the PSVR 2 can do for you.
Yeah, so let's go ahead. Moss, please take the stand. All right, tonight gaming is in session and we have Moss Book 1 taking the stand to defend itself. Moss Book 1 is developed and put out by PolyArc, the people who developed it for PSVR 1 and Quest and things like that. It comes in at a price of $20, and we were fortunately provided a review copy by PolyArc, so thank you for that. Tonight, Moss Book 1 will be defending itself on one count of polishing the mechanic, another count of deja vu, and a third count of extreme brevity. So you probably already know what we're going to be talking about tonight, but we'll go through it. We have to go through the process here. So, looking at the first count of polishing mechanics. Moss, for those who don't know, is a diorama action adventure with gameplay that's kind of like an extended Zelda dungeon, with each room in this diorama containing a puzzle that you have to get through. That's not to say that you're in a dungeon the entire time. You're walking through the environment, you're walking through your character's village. But every scenario is presented almost like a little dioramatic view where you're moving from left to right in this environment, which is nice in VR because you have a VR headset on. You can lean, you can stand, you can move around and really investigate the scenery, and that scenery is static, which creates a nice, it doesn't really affect the mechanics too much, but it's a nice presentation for this type of game that just as a novel take on it, more or less. You play as a combination of a person called the Reader and a small adventurous mouse named Quill, who is setting out to rescue her uncle. Throughout the game, in these dioramatic things, you're going to be fighting enemies with, relatively simple but still engaging combat. But you're mainly going to be tackling puzzles. How do I get from point A to point B using a series of levers and switches, or maybe utilizing some, extra help from quote-unquote the Reader, who you will be inhabiting using your two PSVR 2 Sense controllers. Now, having mentioned the Sense controllers, I'm going to be talking about this in a review of kind of, my experiences. I played through the game handily in PSVR 1 where you're using the DualShock controller. Now you're using the Sense controller, and I will say that on PSVR 2 the game is certainly much more comfortable. It's always awkward moving the DualShock around, grabbing things while holding the DualShock, interacting with the environment with the DualShock, but you needed the DualShock so that you could move around with the analog sticks as well. So the game's more comfortable with the Sense controllers, but I will say it's not notably different aside from a few small combat changes where I just found it easier. With the DualShock, you have one little glowing representation of yourself in the game to interact with the environment. With the Sense controllers, you now have two representations of yourself in the game, meaning that I can interact with the environment as the Reader and grab a block and move it, while with my other hand, I could be holding on to an enemy and preventing them from moving, and still use the thumbstick to have Quill moving around the environment as well. It didn't come into play too much where I felt like I had too much power, but certainly in situations with combat where, the way that you heal your little mouse friend is by putting your hand over your friend, hitting the button, and it recharges her health, but it takes a little bit of time. So when you also have another free hand that can grab an enemy to pause the enemy, that gives you all the time you need. So those kind of things are a bit easier in the PSVR 2 version. It's probably the same thing present in other versions of the game, but it wasn't present in the PSVR 1 version. But we're talking about polishing the mechanics here. This is a game that's polished to the gills. The haunting soundtrack times perfectly with the adventure. It's something I'd walk into a new environment, I'd hear just the right absolute tone of music to present the feeling that you're supposed to be feeling in that environment, whether it's something you're supposed to be, awing in the vastness of an area, or spooked by the darkness and spookiness of an area, or just suddenly feeling an upswelling of adventure. The soundtrack just fits perfectly with what you're supposed to be doing at that given time, and it even drives you to a degree to kind of help you figure out what's supposed to be going on. And Quill's mechanics, of course, feel solid. One thing I really like about this game is that although you are this light and dainty mouse, this rather delicate creature, they gave Quill a certain amount of inertia in her mechanics. So you're moving around. It makes the game feel more real and more solid than you normally see in these kind of action adventure type games. So she has inertia. You move in one way, you turn left. You kind of have a little bit of movement before she starts moving left. Especially when you jump, you feel that weight. It goes a long way to making you feel connected to this diorama that you've dropped in, this world that you've dropped in and you're looking at. And it's odd how such a small character feels heavy, and that somehow feels right. And of course, PSVR 2 comes with it the visual clarity, which is a great thing. It's been a while since I played Moss on PSVR 1, but playing it on PSVR 2, everything is sharp, everything is clear, nothing is kind of embarrassing. The textures all look very nice and modern. And it ultimately, when we see games like this that are remade for new systems, ultimately what's happening is Moss is looking like the game that I remembered it to be without having that kind of degradation. But with that, I find Moss on the count of polishing mechanics guilty. Adam, do you have any cross examination questions?
So, which one of these four things you mentioned would you think would be the strongest evidence and why me, who's already played it in PSVR, would play it again in PSVR 2?
That's a tough question, Adam, and I'll kind of get to that a little bit later. Of the four things I mentioned to you, the visual clarity, it's not going to wow you again necessarily. It still looks like Moss Book 1. You don't really go for the soundtrack too much. The mechanics don't really get you. So I do think having the two dual sense controllers and the lack of that awkwardness of the dual shock that you had to use originally. Also, the ability to look around the environments is a lot easier now that we don't have that crappy camera tracking. We're now using the inside out tracking. So when I did need to lean forward, when I did need to reach far to grab an object, it was less of a will I be able to do this and more of a yeah, let's do this. Let me bend all the way around this environment as opposed to let me just tilt my head a little bit and get the most I can out of it. I think that's going to be the biggest difference for you. Just overall a more comfortable experience.
Nice. Well, yeah, let's move on to the next second count.
All right. On the second count, we have one count of Deja Vu. So, no surprise here. The game is basically the same as it is on the PSVR 1. It looks mostly the same. At least it looks the way you remember it to. It feels mostly the same, although the two sense controllers help out a little bit with comfort. But as I said before, it's more of a case of it looking how I remembered it to look. However, it was nice to organically run through this game again, and I did find the DLC elements that popped out in the PSVR 1 version that I never went back to revisit it. So for those that don't know, after Moss Book 1 came out, they released a DLC, Twilight Garden. I think it was free DLC, it might have just been cheap DLC. But to play this DLC, you have to play through the game again and find these. They're supposed to be hidden. They're not really hidden. They're right in front of you. But find these portals, these three different portals throughout the environment that takes you to another land called the Twilight Garden that has three different challenge rooms. And I never played this in the PSVR 1, so playing through, it was a nice surprise. So for those who maybe played Moss Book 1 when it first came out, never touched it again, this is something that's going to be nice to run into. These rooms are more difficult than anything else you see in the game. The enemies are stronger. There are more enemies. And it also introduces new mechanics that you don't normally encounter in Moss through the standalone. And you get new equipment, which gives you new abilities, which are almost game-breaking in terms of what power they give you, but it's still fun. It also includes, finally, one boss fight that is probably the best boss fight in the game, which is kind of lacking. This game doesn't have very many boss fights, but it has a very nice, engaging, and fun boss fight at the end. So that alone is kind of worth the price of going through this again. However, ultimately, I'm playing Moss Book 1 again. Everything I saw, even though it's been years, it felt like something I'd seen before, save for maybe one or two segments. The second time around, unfortunately, the story seems to lack a bit of the charm that was present on the first run. When you first play Moss, it's like you're reading a children's book. Now you're playing it again, and that children's book mechanic, the tone, kind of rings a little bit hollow now, and it's a bit pandering almost at sometimes. Maybe I'm being too harsh. I personally have probably just read way too many children's books in between the time that Moss first came out, when I only had one very small kid, and now Moss has come out again, and my kids have grown, and I've gone through all the books with them. So one of these elements that Moss really relied on seems to not be worth the revisit in that regard. All you did before in Moss Book 1, you're basically going to be doing again in Moss Book 2. And for that, I find, on the count of Deja Vu, Moss Book 1, guilty. Adam, any questions?
So, for most players, is this additional Twilight Garden DLC worth replaying the whole game just to do it?
I'm going to say, if you are looking for a reason to play through Moss Book 1 again, yeah, probably. if you're not looking for, you don't feel inclined to play it again, or you really you don't have a reason to go through it again, it's probably not going to be enough to push you over the edge and make you feel glad that you did it again. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
All
That's
right.
all I got.
And we have a short argument for the last count on the count of extreme brevity. I will just say, playing through Moss again, even though it was years ago when I last touched it, the game went by very quickly. The puzzles were easier to solve, maybe just because I knew I had solved them before. I never really got stuck. Even the new challenge puzzles that I encountered in the Twilight Garden, those they were better. They were more fun to solve, but they were still nothing brutal to solve. Nothing that made me pause for more than maybe one or two iterations of attempts. All told, you could easily play Moss Book 1 in one sitting. Personally, I clocked in at around 3 hours, and I think that's my PlayStation rounding up a bit and how much time I spent in the game. Although, again, granted, this is my second playthrough. For me personally, there was felt like little reason to go back again once I finished it. So I finished it the second time. I start the game again. I actually accidentally started the game again, seeing if there was more content, and it's the exact same thing, exact same story. Maybe the only thing you look for is to try to find the hidden scrolls in each environment, but that sounds to me more tedious because I'm going to be going through all this ground that I had already trod before. There's also bonuses if you find all of the sparkly things in the destructible environments, but nothing there really compels me to continue. The game is charming. It's enjoyable to be in, but when I was done, I was done. That being said, I'm glad I had a reason to revisit it. It had been long enough to where it felt kind of fresh to me, and it wasn't boring going through it again. I still had a lot of fun going through it again, but it didn't quite reach the same highs that it did the first time I played the game. So yeah, 3 hours, $20, 3 hours of gameplay, and then you're pretty much done with it for another 5-6 years, something like that. So on the account of extreme brevity, I find Moss Book Part 1 guilty. Adam, any questions there before my final statements?
No, I'm curious about this final statement. Let's move on.
Yeah, for my closing statement, I ultimately have 3 questions. What if you have already owned and played Moss on the PSVR? And what if you haven't played it before? The real question is, Moss is a must-play game for the PSVR. But is Moss a must-play game again? A must-play again? These are the questions rattling around in my head as somebody who's now played it again. But my final verdict for Moss, on the charge of a game being worthy of your purchase, we find the jury hung. It's a hung jury on Moss Book 1. Now, Adam, I don't know if this is a surprise to you. Maybe I led into that a bit too much. I love Moss. I think Moss is great. And it's only $20. For some reason, I thought it was $40 going into it. It's only $20, which is not a steep purchase. But the real trouble with Moss is that even on the PSVR 2, the enhanced haptics, the head rumble, which seemed to pop up every once in a while, none of that makes the game feel new enough to make it worthy of a purchase again, especially if you had it on PSVR 1 and you feel like you saw and did it all. That's why I have to make it a hung jury. It's not a not guilty, right? If you've never played Moss, this is the way to play Moss, bar none. You need to play Moss. $20 is a great price of entry to be able to experience Moss. Like I said, it's a must-play game, but I don't think it's necessarily a must-play again. It doesn't necessarily require you spending $20 just to have Moss sitting on your console. How do you feel about Moss, Adam? Do you have any other final comments about it?
If you didn't give this not guilty, you're not going to give any game not guilty. That's just how it is.
It's a good game. It's a good game, and I enjoyed playing it again, but I would not have enjoyed. I don't feel like
nothing new.
I don't feel like you need to purchase it again.
It has better graphics. Good job. Who cares?
This is Thumper. Thumper wasn't not guilty.
Because Thumper was game changing. The environment, the environment and the dread you haven't played. You haven't played it.
I have. I've played like 75% of it. It is not game changing. It's the same game that just shakes the skin on your head a little bit.
Okay, let's go ahead and put Moss. We'll put it right behind Resident Evil 8 on our list.
Let me pull up the link. It's not right behind Resident Evil 8.
Freaking, I
Oh,
swear, dude, you even admitted. I was like, holy crap, he's gonna say it's not guilty. And I was gonna laud you like all those before us lauded us for last episode. And now look, now I am ashamed, and you've belittled me as a man. You suck.
Moss is one of my favorite games of all time. I'm not going to say it's not guilty. It certainly, like I said, it's a must-play game, but it's not a
Who
must-play
hasn't
again.
played it?
Well, there's a lot of people who are getting PSVR 2 as their first VR
Bull
headset.
crap. Give me one person who are like, they haven't played PSVR, but they played PSVR 2. You can't give me one, you effing liar. Look at that face. Look at that face you're making, because you know
There's so many
this.
people. There's so many people on Reddit posting. This is my first VR headset. I'm so happy I have it. Adam, you barely played PSVR 1, so I'm surprised you're not buying Moss to play through.
Okay, where are you putting this crap on this turn Sunday we have going?
I will say we are reviewing Moss Book 2, and I will have a highly different opinion because I have not touched that game in the slightest.
So wait, I'm also confused. Sorry, I've forgotten because I didn't like Book 1, so I've ignored Moss altogether. Did Moss Book 2 come out for PSVR and then get upgraded, or is it made for PSVR 2?
I can't remember. I think it came out on PSVR 2 as well, or PSVR 1 as well. And there's an upgraded PSVR 2 version.
Gosh, they're
There's basically
okay.
4 versions of the game floating around, and there's no upgrade path between them.
But you would think 2 is better than 1. So
Yeah, I would think 2's better than 1. The real thing is somebody coming into PSVR for the first time, they're going to have the option to spend $40 to buy Moss Book 1 and Moss Book 2, and I think that right there is a great deal for the money. Assuming Moss Part 2 is just as long as Moss Part 1, that's a 6-hour game, 6-hour high quality game, maybe longer for $40. That's probably going to be a really good deal. But we haven't played Part 2 yet, so we'll see how that goes. Moss Book 1, here's what I'm thinking, Adam. I really can't imagine it Seeker My Shadow being better than Moss Book 1. But I think I enjoyed having played Tentacular more than I enjoyed having played Moss Book 1. So I'm going to put it in between Tentacular and above Seeker My Shadow. That feels right to me. And I know you love your little Seeker My Shadow kitty game that you couldn't even finish the last puzzle on. So we are putting Moss Book 1 by Polyarch. This is right at number 11. That's where it's hanging out at.
So you think Moss is better than Thumper then, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna get into this, Adam. Let's remind you, Adam, you're the one that put Thumper there. You're the one that put Thumper at the bottom.
When I put Thumper there, it was like number 3 or 4. Now, so we could get into this a little bit right now. We don't talk Fireball, but we have some time. I don't think we're rushing or anything here. So when I look at our list, Alex, what we have: Resident Evil 8, Gran Turismo 7, Song in the Smoke, Runner, Before Your Eyes, Demio, Puzzling Places, Drums Rock, Kayak VR, Tentacular, Moss Book 1, Seeker My Shadow, Dyschronia Chapter 1, Thumper, Zenith, Cactus Cowboy. So far, that's our list. I'm actually pretty happy with this. I'm not even devastated that you put Moss over Seeker My Shadow. I'm okay with that. The one glaring thing that doesn't necessarily sit right with me, I feel like has to be Thumper for me. Is there anything else that you feel like is off or that you're not happy with about the list?
Yeah, I mean, the downside is like we're playing games that are all ultimately pretty good. Like even Zenith, for as broken as it was still kind of fun to play, and there's some promise there, right? Like if that was the only game I had, or I had like 2 games in Zenith, I wouldn't be disappointed with Zenith. So it's a bit of a misnomer that it's so far down, second from the bottom of the list. We know there's worse games out there. I look at things like Dyschronia, which I had a good time with. I really enjoyed Dyschronia, and it's really low on the list. But then I look at the games above it, and it's like I liked playing Tentacular more than I liked playing Dyschronia. Kayak VR seems to make more sense to me than Dyschronia does. Drums Rock just was such a good surprise. It's really hard to find another place to put it. Now, with Thumper, I come into the same kind of issue, and personally, I think Thumper gets held back by the fact that it is an old game. This is why I don't want to rank Rez, because Rez is going to have the oldness to it, but I still think it deserves.
And what they upgraded sucked balls. So yeah, it would be real low on the list. We should add it. Should we add it right now? We both played it.
I haven't finished. We have not reviewed it. We have not taken it to court yet.
That's so stupid. You just don't want to do it because I'm fair. You are just full of nostalgia and awful takes. So, I mean, the only thing you could maybe have an art. I feel like Demio is better than Before Your Eyes. I don't like Demio, but I still like it better than Before Your Eyes. I think you could argue I liked Runner better than Demio, but if everything's on even playing field, I think you could argue it's better than Runner. But the difference between I don't think Demio is better than Song in the Smoke.
Yeah. The thing is, we know like a lot of people really like Demio, but how it affected us and what we got out of it. Like I really want to play Demio again, but it's not a game that really does anything super fancy, super new. I mean, Demio, you get almost the exact same experience playing it as a flat game. It just happens to be a fun game to play, an engaging game to play. The mechanics are nice, but it still kind of feels like you're playing a flat game. It's almost like a virtual TV in front of you when you're playing it. Whereas Before Your Eyes in VR, the presence it gave me, the feelings it swelled up in, the new things it was trying to do, I have to respect that. That's why I wanted that higher up in the list.
I mean, Before Your Eyes to you is like Stifled was to me because they did something different. It was unique. Stifled was infinitely better, but we don't have Stifled here. So, I gotta give you credit. I appreciate where you're coming from because of that. I don't understand why people like Demio. I just don't think it's that good.
Like, pardon me as I try to make a baseball analogy, but to me, a game like Demio, which is good when it succeeds, it seems like it's attempting to get like a double, and it gets a double, right? It was at a two base. You hit the ball and you make it to second base. What's that called?
Yeah, you're right. But the analogy, like, what's that mean? Like, it tries to do something and it does it, but that's it.
Whereas Before Your Eyes really tries to do something unique and special and good. It's trying to hit the grand slam, and it maybe doesn't hit a grand slam, but it like hits a triple or gets a home run or something like that. Like it aims really high and it lands just short of where it's aiming. I appreciate that much more than somebody setting the target low and hitting that low target. Does that make sense?
I don't know what I see what you're saying, but I just don't agree with you.
I mean, we don't agree on the fact, we don't agree on our opinion of Before Your Eyes, but I do think we can agree on the idea that if Before Your Eyes hit the target it was aiming for, like it did for me, then that is something special that a game has done.
Yeah, I would give you that. Yeah,
and because I reviewed it and you didn't, then yeah, we're there.
It's happened to be. That was the week I wasn't there. That's why I didn't review it.
We're gonna have a week coming up that I'm not gonna be here. You got to pick out what game you're gonna review that week.
I'm gonna.
I'm gonna review Res before we do it.
Yes. Yes.
You should get Jay Brad on again because you know what he's gonna say. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be last on the list. It's not as bad as Cactus Cowboy, but I think you could argue it might be worse than Zenith. It doesn't use virtual reality. It's just, it literally is no different. Visuals are the same. Eye tracking barely works. Unless the enemies are right in front of you, non-existent. The haptic feedback is so minimal. And the head rumble, I mean, it's insultingly lackluster. So it's almost worse that they even attempted to use it the 3 times in the entire game they did. Anyhow, that's our list. I feel like overall, it's all right. I'm dying. I feel so bad you can't play Resident Evil 8. It's so freaking good. I can't even come up with an analogy to express how much better that game is than everything else we have.
Yeah, I mean, I just know. I know it's going to be that good. There's no reason for me to play it now because it's going to be just as good here in the near future when I finally get through this backlog of games.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we should talk about. The next games in the queue we have, sorry if you guys aren't interested in this, Garden of the Sea. I'm excited about that one. That one actually sounds a lot more delightful than I anticipated based on what I've heard. Cave Digger 2, which we reviewed on the PSVR 1, but the PSVR 2 version's come out. We got some multiplayer to play. We got analog sticks now. Book 2 of Moss, which I'm excited about because I love Moss. And Dyschronia Chapter 2, which I'm also excited about. I want to see where that story goes. So these are the games I have to review before I can move on to Resident Evil and these other fine games that we want to play. Adam, which one do you think I should play next? I don't know. Part of me feels like I got to do Discronia just because it's as fresh in my mind as it could be. But do you have a preference there? Is there something you're particularly curious about?
Well, in the effort of just completely ignoring you, Resident Evil 8, here's the thing. It's not even a perfect game. Like there are things they missed and they whiffed on. If somehow they come back with Resident Evil 4 and they fix those, just nothing's topping it. There's I can't fathom a game that they could come out with the top two and it wouldn't be able to overcome it. Like that is how good Resident Evil is. I shudder at the thought of them fixing the things that are issues with Resident Evil 8 because there won't be a better game, I think, ever. I mean, maybe you're saying Half-Life Alyx, if that comes and they have the same production quality, maybe that, but otherwise I I I don't know. I'm gonna soil myself. Now, right now, the thing is I'm most interested in Garden of the Sea. However, I also know that we need to review these games. That's probably going to take you longer. So, in an effort of kind of a manager of the website, I want you to do some of the shorter games so we get these reviews off our back and, developers waiting for feedback. We're not being like, oh, guess what? 4 months after launch that you release your game, here's your stuff. But I'm most interested in Garden of the Sea. I heard it's Bug Snacks and Pokemon kind of put together, which sounds pretty effing dope,
Yeah, that does sound dope. Yeah.
Cave Digger 2, I think, will be quick. I reviewed it. It's very minimal changes, visuals, analog sticks. We can try multiplayer. That'll be fun, but ultimately that's not a groundbreaking game. I don't really care too much there. I definitely don't care about Moss, and I don't really care about Discronia. So dealer's choice, my friend, but I'm going to be most attentive to the Garden of the Sea.
Yeah, I want to play it. I've heard good things about Garden of the Sea, and I thought it was going to be like Animal Crossing. Turns out it's not. It's a bit more directed, which I welcome. I don't need Animal Crossing in VR. I don't need that open-ended stuff because I have things to do. I have games to play. Adam, we got a bit of news I think we can just talk about briefly. Right out of the gate, Green Hell VR. This is that survival jungle game that was announced for PSVR 2. They just announced it's going to be getting 4-player co-op along with 3 sets of DLC. This is a game people were hyped about in flat. Now it's in VR. It's going to be coming out in VR with 4-player co-op. It really looks a lot like Song in the Smoke. I know it's a different vibe probably, and it's probably got different types of mechanics, but are you excited? Like, are you more excited about this game knowing you can play multiplayer? How do you feel about like a multiplayer survival jungle game?
I might be. I mean, it'll be a little more fun. I didn't have that good a time in Song in the Smoke, if I'm being honest. I appreciate it, but I just don't. I didn't find it fun. Whereas if you're with people, it's gonna make it more fun. So I'm interested. I might dabble. I'll dabble. I'll dabble a little bit, but not too. I'm not too excited, I guess.
Yeah, I just think it's nice that we're getting more co-op games. Co-op is fun in VR. Like I loved Ancient Amuletor co-op, and that's not even like that great of a game, but it was just fun.
True.
A couple weeks ago, there was also a rumor that Sony is going to be releasing a PlayStation 5 Pro. Okay, they always do this. That's nothing too big to me, or maybe a Slim, something like that. But there was a heavy rumor that they're developing a streaming handheld console, so kind of like a PSP that can stream directly from your PS5. I guess they're trying to capture some of that like Steam Deck or Switch market share. But this got me thinking, Adam. If it can faithfully stream from your PS5, then it should have all the capabilities to do what somebody's Oculus Quest does when it streams from their PC wirelessly. How would you feel about the PSVR 2 if you could plug it into some device that you could then stick in your pocket and it is wireless within your house? Would that satisfy the criteria, or does that sound too clunky or bulky or anything like that?
To have the PSVR 2 function the way it does, but it be wireless, I will honest to God pay $850.
Wait, just for so imagine it's just a PSP that you plug a USB-C into and stick in your pocket. That would you pay $800 for
If
that?
it makes the PSVR 2 same quality but no wire, I will pay $850. I don't care if it's a standalone headset, if it's a stupid PSP. The cord ruins it. C Smash would be unreal. Game like video game industry breaking if it weren't for that mother effing cord, but it's there and it ruins it. So many times I have stepped on the cord or I try to back up and I can't do it. Happened with Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Get rid of the cord. You should have never had a cord, Cuck Cerny. It's freaking bullcrap. Why? How many other things have cords? Not many. There are some, but guess what? They freaking suck. Oh my I swear, F you. And
Me?
I know you're bringing this up because you're going to instill a little seed of hope. And I was like, there's a chance. And then I know it's not going to be possible. Then I'm going to be crushed. Thanks.
No, I mean technically I don't see why it wouldn't be possible. Like I said, I can wear my Quest on my head and stream from my PC, and it works semi flawlessly. I don't know why Sony wouldn't just like. I honestly would probably pay $200 for something like this that works really well. That's $200 on top of the PSVR 2 investment. But like, yeah, I would love to have that too. The cord doesn't bother me too much, but it'd be nice to play this in another room of my house somewhere without being tethered to my office where I can only play it, or go out into the garage sometime where I have some real room to work with. Um, yeah, I was going to talk about my impressions of Creed. I haven't played it that much. Creed is Creed. If you played Creed on PSVR 1, it's Creed on PSVR 2, except it's a lot easier now because you can use the analog sticks to move around, and that makes it easier because it's easy to get out of a punch's way and punch somebody in the stomach. But it
That's what
works
you
really
want,
well.
though, right?
That's what I want, but the game, at least the computer enemies aren't used to somebody moving around, so it's so easy to just like fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee, pop them in the belly, and then you just keep jabbing them in the belly, come over with a counter, and they're down. But I need to try multiplayer, get beat up with some kids, then maybe I'll have a different opinion of it.
Okay. Also, I want to mention we'll talk about next week too in further detail. Very quickly, Firewall. There are news. So, PlayStation blog, you can check. They have a whole Firewall article. Tell me very quickly, Alex, what are some of the big boys?
Yeah, some of the cool things they said. Eye tracking is going to be used. They said that lighting is really important. Flashbangs are really important. You use the eye tracking so it knows when your eyes are closed. If your eyes are closed, it will not obscure your vision when you get flashbanged or somebody shines a flashlight in your eyes. Or you can, I think you have to blink your eyes to clear your vision. Things like that. That's really clever, really strategic, good use. They mentioned flashlights a lot. You can actually put the flashlights on your gun so that when you go into a room, you shine it in your enemy's face and they won't be able to see, which is a nice strategic element. You're blinding the enemy before you shoot them and stuff like that. The other cool thing is they said that the lighting is real, so you can actually cover the flashlight with your hand, and then when you see an enemy, you let go, and then it flashes the light in their face to blind them. That's nice dynamic stuff that's occurring there. They also use the eye tracking to notice when you're sniping. So if you close one of your eyes, it will shift the sniper scope to your other eye, or at least they'll shift your vision to your other eye to make it more natural to snipe so you're not like fighting with your headset and the controller. Just cool gameplay stuff they've implemented to make things work a little bit better, which, you know, looking down the sights in VR is always really odd and difficult and awkward. This is going to fix that. Something you're going to love, but everybody else in the world almost universally hated. Hit a button to reload. You reload by hitting a simple button. I'm with you, Adam. I think that makes sense in some games to just hit a button to reload. You know, it's not called the fun of the game isn't reloading. It can add strategy, it can add stress, but it really sucks when I'm trying to reload and my controllers are colliding with each other. And it's like, that's not what would happen in real life. There's also 3D audio being implemented. That was in the other one. You see where the enemies are. They did say they're doing a best of 3 matches this time. So no more one match, then go wait in the lobby and then go start another match. Although they said they're doing it by you finish a match, you go to the lobby, then automatically go back into the next game, and they're using the PS5 to make that happen faster. And that little bit right there makes me sound like this isn't a sequel to Firewall. This is like a remaster of Firewall for the PS5. And ultimately, the core gameplay is probably going to be the same, but just look better. So how do you feel about that, Adam? That it's ultimately going to be the same game, just sharper graphics and maybe some new mechanics with like flashlights and stuff like that?
I think that sucks. I know there are different maps. Maybe it's different enough it'll feel okay.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong with that information, but it just
Yeah,
feels very similar.
we'll talk about more in depth next week because I think that's a whole discussion, and I don't want to spend a whole new segment just to talk about it. But I do want to thank you for listening to episode 116 of Play PSVR 2, the podcast. Contact us. We got contact at playpsvr.com. We got YouTube. That's called Gaming is in Session. We've got playpsvr.com. Whatever method you want to do, contact us. Thank you so much. We do have accessory reviews and game reviews and podcasts, all this sweet content we're putting out for you. Check it out. Listen, watch, be part of us. We want you inside of us as much as I want to be inside of you. Thanks for listening to Play PSVR 2, the podcast, where virtual reality is our reality.
Blammo!